Another example of that, I remember seeing the headlines, and one of my favorite hockey players currently, and I wasn't surprised at all to see his story and how it developed, was Evander Kane. I think world-class talent. If you've ever met the man, seen interviews with the man, really, really nice, personable, and just very intense, And when I saw he had signed with you, I said, his career is going to get there now. He's signed with the right guy. And people in Toronto be very, because I'm based in Toronto, you're based in Michigan. They would yell at me if I didn't ask, why is he not playing in Toronto right now? But when I saw where you signed him, I said, oh boy, this is a match made in heaven. Tell us about the story from the time you got the phone call from Vander to where he is today.
So it's actually an interesting story that ties me to Toronto as well. Yes. I used to be in Toronto at least once or twice a month with the coronavirus and Americans not being able to cross the border. Yes. Things were a little bit more hectic and different. So in October, this past October of 2021, I am parking my car at Delta Hotel right across from the rink in downtown in the basement, and then I get on my Twitter, I get a message from Evander saying, Dan, I'd like to talk to you about representation. Usually guys like that, you got to chase them. I mean, yes. It takes 20 meetings and stuff like that too.
Sure.
So, and I'm parking my car to go see Ilya Mikheyev. So he goes like, what's your number? So I text him, I sent him my phone number saying, hey, I'm going to be busy. How about, call me right now and I'm available. And so he calls me. I said, hey, we chat for a quick second. I said, I'm about to step into a meeting. I'll call you as soon as I'm done. And so I met with Ilya Mikheyev. It was on a game day. He was just walking his dog. So he stopped by the hotel. We chatted for a few minutes. I went back upstairs. And then I called Evander, and my first question was like, how many other agents have you called? It goes like, nobody. It goes like, I've been watching you, and you're exactly what I need. It's funny because about when a few years prior to that, when his issues came about publicly, at the time we were just joking, and I said, if it was our client, none of this would have gone down on my watch. There's like absolutely no chance. Because we handle all of that. We sit down with clients. We watch each and every thing. And as a matter of fact, I have a story about some other client. I'm not going to give you the name, but I work closely with a number of bankers. So primarily Merrill Lynch, Bank of America, one of the largest banks in the world. And so we have one client who has had some issues in the past. And the banker would watch his credit card and debit cards. And in one instance, he calls me at 11 o'clock at night, goes like, hey, I just blocked the card. If he calls you, don't answer the phone tonight. Call him in the morning. Because he looked at that, the gentleman was in the casino, and then so we saved him. And he called and thanked us the next day for because we had a pre-agreement that if we see certain things, we just cut it right there.
This is like just like out of the movies. You're living a movie star life. Wow.
I don't know about the movie star. Like, I mean, everybody sees the quick second with the Stanley Cup, right?
Yes.
But I'm up to here with everything else. And then I just show up for 2 seconds once a year when a client wins the Stanley Cup. So spoke to Evander, asked him who else he was talking to, and he basically said that he had spoken to another big agent, one of the biggest, if not the biggest, sometime prior to that, but he wasn't looking at anybody, and he wanted to work with me. So every day we're on the phone 5, 6, 7 times. Obviously there is more work to be to do, but in the end, there were some people doubted that he would ever play in a National Hockey League, and because of all the other things. I mean, in the end, there were quite a few teams that were interested, and how do you say no when there's an opportunity for you to play with Connor McDavid and Leander Draisaitl? That was that was a fairly quick decision. Now there were a number of other teams that are going to be competing for the Stanley Cup. There were number of other situations where he would have been playing with the world's best players. But in the end, when Kenny Holland called me, it was basically he had to say hello. So
were the Leafs in the running? Could you talk about that?
I'd rather not discuss.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
We've had numerous teams interested in that, and so it worked out. Things are going well for Evander. Knock on my head, and I hope it's going to get better. And he's in very good spot, very good place, and and he enjoys playing in Edmonton.
You notice since Dan Milstein takes over and becomes his advocate, we don't hear about him in the news. We see him in the stat sheet every night. That's where he's at now.
That's the name. That's the name of the game. I'm glad. I'm fortunate that I got an opportunity to work with Evander. He's a phenomenal guy. And look, everybody deserves a second chance. And I know that some people are saying, "Well, he did this and that," but that's all in the past. And now we have to look forward. And everybody deserves another a chance, an opportunity. And I'm just fortunate that I'm the guy to be in front of it.
It's one of the things I love about sports. I've always been a big sports fan since a young age, playing and watching. And sports is fantasy. You get to live your fantasy. You get to live the dream of what you want to be. You get to be the person you dream to be. And it's a land of second chances, third chances, fourth chances. And whatever happened, you make up and you begin and you start a fresh page. And it's always nice to see. It's like you were talking about. It's, one thing to rise to the top, which people can do. It's another thing to go down. It's the people that can make it back up. Those are the ones that have the staying power. And because not a lot can make it back once they made it down. So we're all rooting for him, and you've done a great job for him so far. And it'd be great to see you and him holding the Stanley Cup possibly coming up.
If you know what, I realize that you got your viewership in Toronto more than in any other places, but and then of course I have clients on many teams, and yes, I can't publicly support one team or the next team, but yes, it would be awesome for me to be next to Evander when he wins his Stanley Cup, whenever the time comes, and I sure hope it happens soon. But yes, if you think about it, and I'll leave you with this: not very few guys, very few hockey players are born stars. Talent only gets you to the age of 18 at best, and then hard work. Pavel Datsyuk, nobody knew who Pavel was until he was 21, 22 years old. Nikita Kucherov won 58th overall in his draft year, and people still doubted, didn't think he was going to be a player. He gets to Quebec Ramparts, and famous Patrick Roy trades him. Because he didn't think that he was going to be as good as some of my other clients, if you will. And in the end, in the first round playoffs that year, Nikita Kucherov sends Patrick Roy with his Quebec Ramparts home single-handedly that year. You look at Nikita Zaitsev, 24 years old. That's when the world found out about him. Artem Zub in Ottawa, when he was 24 years old, a year and a half ago, people were saying, first of all, there were only 2 NHL teams that were interested in him. Everybody doubted that he was going to be an NHL player. People were saying, "Why are you bringing him? Why? He'll never play in NHL." I'm not so sure that, and I know for a fact, Ottawa didn't hold him in the same regard they held him after he played the first 10 NHL games finally. Mickey, and not the Mickey Mouse, but Ilya Mikheyev, Toronto's favorite person, or one of them. Yes. He was not called up to a national team when he was 23 years old. Nobody knew who Ilya was until 23 years old. And Jimmy Palafito, and then later Mike Babcock and Kyle Dubas found him, and then obviously we brought him to Toronto. He had virtually every team was interested in him. And so, but when he was 18, 19, 20, 21, nobody knew who he was. He didn't, his draft year, usually hockey players, if they think there's a slight chance, you're going to be sitting by the TV or by the phone waiting for something to happen. He didn't even know when the draft was happening because he was so far away removed from that. And then you have some other guys that are first overalls, 8th overalls, whatever the deal is, that get drafted and never play a game or play a few games and never make it. So draft is a great day to celebrate for the families, but it's hard work and everything else. And I have a lot of clients that don't make it just because talent doesn't. You gotta feed your talent with hard work, and so many different things must come together. It's crazy. People don't realize that talking about Bell Woodstock, and then obviously we get, it's one mental health day that everybody in Canada feels that they have to go and put the hashtag on the Twitter, and somehow it makes everybody feels good. No, guys, it's 365 days. Being an athlete is extremely difficult. I'll never forget Nikita Zaitsev's first year in Toronto. The cleaning lady would come in the morning after his game to talk about his game and tell him that she read in the paper that he's been traded, and she was wondering if her job was safe, and stuff like that too. I mean, guys, and then just do you enjoy reading trash about you in the papers? Now I get it, you make a lot of money to deal with it all, but athletes they're just normal people, and they're just like you and I.
Meeting athletes in all sorts of sports, people forget the numbers game part of it. I'm very big into baseball as well, and I'm talking to a BC baseball player, a teenager, and I tell him, for every one of you, do you know how many kids are playing in California and Texas right now? It's a numbers game. For that kid in Toronto playing in juniors, how many kids are in Russia coming for your spot as well? It's a global game. And so from a numbers game, you look at how many HL teams there are, how many roster spots there are, and think about how many players are all over the world. To make it's so finite, and to look at your roster of how many athletes entrust you, it's incredible. Now, somebody who's a hockey person messaged to me, I didn't realize Evander speaks Russian. So I think, when you were starting off, I think your language, your English is amazing. People wouldn't guess that you're bilingual or maybe even trilingual, but Russian speaking certainly helped the connection point. And you look at your roster, definitely a big Russian speaking community, but you're growing beyond that, right?
So Evander is actually officially legally changing his name to Kanov. All the jokes aside, look, you start, you gotta find a niche, and same thing in the mortgage industry. I was working with Europeans, and now emerging markets, as they're called, are less than half of 1% of the total Gold Stars business. Same thing in other industries, and same thing in hockey. I mean, Curtis Gabriel, basically Curtis Gabriel called me. He was referred to me by somebody in Canada, and he was basically done playing hockey. I mean, he already had the skates almost hung up. Somebody called him, and look, he's on a one-way contract now. He's playing in Chicago, and but in that particular case, Russian or not, he had one chance, and the chance was Dan Milstein. He called me. I knew who I can call, and we got him a deal, because nobody else at the time would have helped him to get an NHL deal. Look, and I pride myself at work I do, whether it's Russian, Canadian, American, Swedish. At this point in time, Gold Star, I mean, we're a worldwide brand. I have well over 50 employees working throughout the world, primarily scouts, but we have quite a few assistants. Right now, somebody's helping somebody to schedule a restaurant dinner. One of my fellow co-workers is working on a birth certificate for a newborn child, and so on and so forth. So we are different. The reason people should use Gold Star, not because we're Russian, and believe me, in the next 5 years, when I do become the number one, we're gonna have more Canadians than we would have anybody else. And partly because of what do we do? Look, it's not about, you should not pay an agent a huge commission if he's going to just show up once every 8 years to sign you to a contract. We're right there doing endorsements, global endorsements, not just the local tied to a Toronto or any specific market. That's number one. Number two, we do all the other things. We're with you 24/7. I'll give you an example. Nikita Kucherov goes to a Bauer facility. So I wasn't there. One of my assistants was there. And so the first guy comes in and goes like, "Hi, Nikita, I'm so-and-so. I'm the engineer. I make you sticks," gives him business card. The next guy comes in and goes like, "Well, I'm so-and-so. I make you skates." And so in the end, I was told that there were seven different business cards laying in front of him from different people. He basically does it this. He brushes them all to the side, just like with his hand, and goes like, I have one number. That's to my agent, Dan Milstein. If I need anything, I call him. He handles it all. I don't need anything else. And so you work for those moments. You work to hear, when your client wins a Stanley Cup, and what they say the first 5 minutes after winning the cup, when they hug you on the ice or immediately after ice or off ice, and or during the bubble, the coronavirus, when the first phone call, the video call they make from the ice, and things that they say, these are the moments you work for. You don't work for, I don't need a professional acknowledgement. I don't need to be number one. I work for those moments. I want the mom and the dad of the kid to call me because I've helped them to achieve their dream, their life dream, whether it's to win the cup, to play the NHL, bring back their careers, put them back on tracks, whatever that is that's what makes this job so special. This isn't about me running around. As a matter of fact, Jonathan, I don't own a business card. I don't need a business card. Everybody knows who I am.
Your business card is your face.
And so this isn't about me running around saying I'm the agent. Yes. People ask me, what do you want me to call you? When they do different TV shows and stuff like that. Yes. I mean, you can call me whatever you want to call me. It doesn't matter. It's not about the title. And it should never be about the title. Of course, back in the day, I wanted to be the vice president and the president and whatever the deal is. But to me now, I want my clients to win, to sign good contracts, to get married, have good lives, have a great relationship with their wives and their kids and their parents. And I want to be part of their family. And to me, it's by far more important than running around saying, "Oh, look at me! I just signed somebody to 11 point something $million contract and stuff like that too." That money is important. Don't get me wrong, and it's part of being an agent. But at the same time, it's about the feelings.
Thank you for enjoying today's episode of the Chosen Life podcast. Go ahead and hit the subscription button below and the notification bell to catch all of our great shows. And remember to contact the Chosen Lawyers when you are ready for your next real estate and commercial transaction. Go to kormans.ca.